The boy often spies on his roommate downstairs from the window. Her innocent face and her gangly appearance made him want to get close to her. Just when he's mesmerized, the girl discovers him. He hurriedly withdrew his gaze, but in his panic, he cut his finger with a pair of scissors. The next morning, Won-jun went out and saw the girl waiting for him, asked about yesterday's peeping. Won-jun didn't answer, but tried to maintain the appearance of calm, and then turned away in a posture as natural as possible. But the red thread of fate had already tied them together. On a snowy night, Won-jun, who had just gotten off work, saw the girl who had fainted from afar, anxious to call for help. When the girl woke up again, is in a hospital. The girl didn't appreciate Won-jun's timely help. Instead, she hurt him with her words. Even though the girl's words embarrassed Won-jun in front of everyone, but she still calmly communicated with the girl, through understanding that the girl's name is Doona. She is a recently deceased artiste. Because of a certain change, she had to start a new life, until Won-jun came along. Like a bright star in the dark night sky, it brightened up her life. He would put on her socks, she would ask him if he had breakfast. Although they hadn't known each other for a long time, Won-jun's tenderness and thoughtfulness had already made her fall in love with him. The number of times they saw each other also became more and more frequent. When the first rays of the morning sun poured down, Won-jun saw the girl making a wish, an unintentional glance. Won-jun couldn't take his eyes off her. He was mesmerized by the girl's delicate face. Time passes in an instant. Won-jun had been away for a long time, but he had no progress at work. He used to be the top student in the civil engineering department, but now he can only earn money by posting advertisements. Just this evening, a woman called his phone. Won-jun thought it was a client, but when he turned around he saw Doona holding his number. Won-jun's face turned serious. On the way home, when he was confronted by Doona's unreasonable playfulness, Won-jun couldn't contain his anger any longer. He lost his temper with Doona for the first time. The boy was furious with the girl the night before, but the next morning, he felt guilty. He couldn't wait to get to the girl. Trying to make up for last night's mistake, he carefully pushed open the door and called out her name, trying to explain his behavior last night. Unexpectedly, the girl quietly appeared behind him. In the face of Won-jun's explanation, Doona didn't seem to want to choose to forgive, but did not get angry. Instead, she came to Won-jun's classroom. She sat next to Won-jun. The corners of her mouth gently rose, showed a warm and affectionate smile. Before Won-jun could react, Doona asked him to join her for dinner. Seeing the envious eyes of the surrounding students, Won-jun replied with silence. The two of them went to the rooftop. Under the sunlight, their smiles grew brighter and brighter, like flowers in full bloom. They were full of youthfulness. Won-jun finally agreed that Doona could call him anytime. They were enjoying the distant scenery, chatting about each other's interesting stories, as if the whole world was open to them, full of endless possibilities. Due to the pressure of life, Won-jun often took odd jobs in cafes. Here he met an old acquaintance, a girl named Pearl. She was Won-jun's high school classmate. After graduation, they didn't find the job of their choice. Instead, they were forced to fluctuate between various odd jobs. While resting, Won-jun saw Doona's missed call, but before he could get back to his senses, Pearl brought him coffee. Go back 2 years. Pearl hadn't cut her hair yet. Their first close encounter was on a rainy day, when she heard that Won-jun was good at math. Pearl wanted to ask him to help her with her lectures. It was easy to tell from Won-jun's eyes. He had fallen in love with this innocent and sweet girl. But time flies like a white horse. 2 years have passed in a flash. Won-jun never showed his feelings to Pearl. Maybe it's because he's working hard to make a living. He no longer holds any expectations for the past heart. Instead, he set his sights firmly on the future. Inside the cozy and small rental house, Doona is watching TV alone. Suddenly, she was disturbed by a strange caller. Her face suddenly turned ugly. She dropped the snacks in his hand, pouring the long-lost red wine. She wished she had someone to accompany her. Without thinking, she looked out the window. A pair of pink socks caught her eye. It suddenly reminded her of the time in the hospital. Won-jun took care of her. It made her feel more comfortable and peaceful than ever before. Inside the noisy restaurant, Won-jun's phone rang again. As expected, it's Doona. He hesitates for a moment and picks up the phone. But before he could say a few words, a strange man snatched the phone away. On the other side of the phone, Doona, who realized that the sound was wrong, immediately rushed over the girl. In order to protect her boyfriend, she threw a bottle of wine at the man's head. Luckily, Won-jun blocked it with his helmet in time. the man was able to escape. But Wonjun wasn't so lucky. His palm was unfortunately pierced by glass. After a simple treatment of the wound, he came to Doona's side. He tried to blame her for her reckless behavior, but Doona's answer made him ponder. Wonjun apologized for that. In order to make up for his misunderstanding, he got up and looked around, looking for a suitable restaurant to have dinner with her, but he overlooked his junior high school classmate, Pearl, and soon Pearl waved at him, and happily came over to greet Wonjun. Then the three of them sat down together, although it was the first time they met, but the two of them were having a good time, as if they had known each other for a long time. After 3 rounds of drinking, Pearl spoke her heart out. Before Wonjun could recover, Doona interrupted their conversation. She continued to talk to Pearl about the past. Soon, Pearl fell into a deep sleep, under the hypnotic effect of alcohol. Afterwards, they went to the rooftop where the clothes were drying. Doona's eyes showed a deep tenderness, gazing intently at Wonjun. She envied Wonjun for having a beautiful classmate. She knew him for a long time, and was still on good terms with him. She said she was envious. In fact, she didn't want to accept this reality. Her heart was as wet as if it was drenched in cold rain. Even her steps became heavy. She almost stumbled, and fell down the stairs. The moment their eyes met, both of their hearts were filled with huge waves. Wonjun closed his eyes. He tried to accept her love that she had been planning for a long time. Despite the tidal wave of emotions, Doona never put her lips on his, but he was frozen in time. He stood frozen in place, until the next morning. He was still immersed in the endless loss and reverie of last night. He was still in a state of reverie. Unfortunately, last night's scene of the two of them making out was seen by Pearl. Wonjun wanted to explain, but Pearl's classmates were waving at her. Wonjun can only watch Pearl move away from him once again. On the way home, Wonjun saw Doona wandering around the garbage cans. She must not know how to sort the garbage, so he carefully put the garbage in the right place. Doona looked at him with disdain. Must have been rejected by Pearl. Obviously, Doona's heart already has a secret love, just have not yet put this feeling into words. But Wonjun still doesn't understand Doona's feelings. He made her angry again. Once again, the two had a fight. A pair of lovers are arguing by a trash can. As their emotions got out of control, the girl angrily slams the trash basket on the ground, and angrily turns away. As the anger subsides, the girl passes by the trash can again. She found that the garbage had already been put in neatly. It turned out that the boy she had always scorned was actually paying attention to everything she did. Although Wonjun would often tolerate her little tantrums, but Doona knew that there was someone in his heart that he couldn't let go of. Back in high school, Wonjun and Pearl were already close, although they hadn't yet made their feelings for each other clear. But it was hard to hide the ups and downs in their hearts. Their words were full of temptation and anticipation. Perhaps they were afraid of delaying each other's future. Wonjun finally confirmed their relationship as soulmates. Until now, he still wants to make up for the past, to spend quality time with her, but he's afraid that his cowardice will cause them to pass by again. Doona, on the other hand, doesn't see it that way. She thinks that a girl like Pearl, she might only need a tentative kiss and a 5-second thud, and he'll be able to win her heart. She even teased Wonjun about practicing with her.